Good morning, everybody. 15 councils around England have voted to cancel local elections this year. That's from the largest, I think, is Kent, down to the Isle of Wight, which is the smallest, and a number of other councils with an intermediate a number of electors. But in total, that means something like 9 to 10 million voters, people on the electoral register, are going to be denied a vote in local councils this year. Now, from what I've been hearing, this is an absolute travesty because in some places, the councils called emergency meetings this week because the deadline to tell the government that they wanted to cancel elections was Friday, the 10th of January. So at the time of making this video, that's yesterday. So councils held meetings without letting the public in to view the meetings, without sometimes telling even the councillors what the meeting was about, and then they turn up and then they present the motion to cancel the elections, or that, as they say, postpone the elections. But the postponement might be 1 year, 2 years, even 3 years. So they're actually talking about postponing them for 3 years, which is essentially cancelling them because they only have 4-year terms on local councils in England. So if they postpone the elections by 3 years, the councillors are essentially getting nearly 2 terms in office from elections that happened in 2020, or just for 2021, sorry. So, I mean, this is a brazen attack on democracy. What I'm hearing also, which is even more disgusting and despicable, is that a lot of the councillors don't agree with the Labour government's devolution plans, particularly Tory councillors. They don't like the idea, but they voted to suspend the elections, cancel the elections, because they wanted to stay as councillors. They actually don't agree with the motions, but because they could see that they're going to get another 2 or 3 years as a councillor, which means that they get all the privileges which go with being a councillor and the tax-free stipends that they get, which can vary, from 5,000 to 20,000 pounds in some places. They get some money for being councillors, and they can vote themselves these days how much their stipend is going to be. So they're going to keep this councillor stipend for another 2 or 3 years, some nice money for being a councillor and the privileges, even though they know that this is running a horse and cart through democracy, and that is utterly deplorable. So there are people talking about withholding council tax. Now, I'm not saying to do that, because if you do, they have a go. They come at you, and people pay tax because the government has a threat against you if you don't pay the tax that they require. But it's up to people if they organise and do it en masse. I'm not involved in that, but if people do, hundreds of thousands of people get together, like, in the days of 1989, I think, there were the poll tax riots. I'm old enough to remember that. I was a young man at the time, but there were a lot of protests and people withholding paying poll tax, or community charge as it was called, at the end of the 1980s. So I think there's a lot of anger about this from voters, the 10 million voters that are being disenfranchised. They are not getting a chance to vote for the representatives that they want. Another thing is here, the Uniparty as a whole, Tory, Labour, Lib Dem, Green, they know there are challenger parties coming for them. The Heritage Party is growing in influence and stature. We've got more candidates around the country. We would have had a lot of candidates in these places which have now applied to the government to cancel their elections. Kent and Essex and Sussex, Surrey, Warwickshire, Devon, places like this that have cancelled their elections. We would have had a lot of candidates there. So, this is the Uniparty deliberately trying to stop challenger parties from gaining momentum and gaining councillors, and then actually turning back the dreadful things that they're doing, which is pushing the woke agenda, the diversity, equality and inclusion agenda, the climate agenda, calling climate emergencies, facilitating mass immigration, giving council homes as a priority to migrants coming into the country who shouldn't be here, and all that kind of thing. The Heritage Party would put a stop to that, and at a local level, preserve our heritage, look after our towns and cities, look after our countryside, make sure farmland isn't turned into massive housing developments that are mostly going to go to migrants or wealthy foreigners from abroad buying them up and then making profit off them, or people who want to put up solar panels and wind turbines on prime agricultural land, so we lose land for growing food, and they put up these things which don't provide hardly any energy, and even if they do, they lose a load of money on the energy which they get up for. They make up with government subsidies, which we all pay for about 3 different times in 3 different ways. The whole thing is just a sham and a scam. And the national government and the local government are in cahoots together because they're all in the Uni-Party together, Tory, Labour, Lib Dem, Green. We've got to get rid of those people, but they want to sit on their seats for another 2 or 3 years and stop us in the Heritage Party taking their seats and restoring sanity to the country. So this is naked self-interest, and it is adherence to the agendas which are destroying and ruining our country. And all of these councillors that voted to cancel elections in 2025, they need to be gone. And the final decision rests with the government. And I hope that somehow, when they come to make an announcement next week as whether they are going to accept these applications to cancel elections from these 15 councils around the country, that they will not accept them, and they will say, well, elections have to go ahead, because otherwise, they will blatantly be seen to be involved in cancelling elections. And the only people that do this kind of thing are tin pot dictators and tyrants in banana republics. But that's essentially the Labour Party. Let's hope that they have at least a scrap or modicum of desire to be respectable left, and that they will not cancel the elections. But we'll see. There's more to come, and we will see exactly what is going to happen when that great tower of intelligence, Angela Rayner, makes a statement next week. Anyway, let's hope that the right thing happens, and the Heritage Party will still be here through it all, and we will break through, and we will take councils, and we will take government and restore our nation. Thanks for listening, everyone. God bless you all.